Radio Raheem here with Eddie Hearn at Covent Gardens. Last time I was here was the Anthony Joshua weigh-in. A tremendous turnout for these workouts. And it's obvious why they're here. You've got Kell Brook, a local success, somebody they love, and Triple G coming over for the first time. What's the response been like from this British crowd knowing Triple G was on his way?
Just phenomenal. You know, every day that passes, obviously Triple G is now in the country, so people are seeing him, talking to him. He has a great aura about him, you know, when he has that sort of killer smile, you know, where you know it's so nice on the outside, but deep down he's a very dangerous man. And, you know, of course, the turnout here today looking to see not just Kell Brook, but also Triple G. You know, there's definitely two guys in this fight in terms of the attractions. And, you know, there's definitely two guys in the fight in terms of, you know, the live horses, because we know how tough this fight is for Kell Brook, but 100% here to win it, believes that he can beat Triple G, and, you know, he has a chance on Saturday night to become the #1 fighter in the world, and that's the carrot.
Now, it's unusual for a guy to come to another fighter's backyard and get the cheers. Do you think Triple G is going to compete with Kell Brook for cheers on Saturday night?
Yeah, maybe here, but I'm not sure on Saturday night. I think, you know, and I hope not, because I think that's one thing we need. You know, we need to create that environment and that atmosphere that I don't think he's going to be unsettled, but, you know, it's never nice to walk out to. You know, don't encourage anyone to boo, but, you know, if you're in the O2 Arena on Saturday night, please boo. But, you know, all these kind of things, you know, new surroundings, and everyone says, oh, he's experienced, he's done this and that. Until you really walk out the O2, we don't know. You know, you can have an off night, you know, and I hope he does have an off night, because Kell Brook is going to need to be exceptional on Saturday night. The good news is, I know Kell Brook is an exceptional fighter. So he doesn't need to produce this miracle performance. He needs to produce a great performance, which he's capable of doing.
Well, he needs to shock the world, and he's done something to shock us already in the weight differential that no one expected. You've been with Kell Brook a long time. Were you surprised that he was 176 pounds 30 days out, and then still 67, only 7 days out?
No, definitely not. Because, you know, I've been with Kell a long time. I know the struggles that he goes through to make 147 pounds. And actually, you know, what people need to understand is that Kell Brook on Saturday night will go into the ring about 100 and maybe 68 pounds, something like that. 12 stone 1 is his normal fighting weight at 10 stone 7. And that's what he'll be on Saturday night. So there's no difference. We're not eating up to the weight. All we're doing is taking away the process of depletion from 11.6 or 11.7 to 10.7. And that takes a lot out of him. So this is actually a good chance for Kell Brook, because he doesn't have to go through that. Honestly, if Gennady Golovkin was a welterweight and Kell Brook was fighting him at welterweight, I would be more concerned in this fight, because I know what he has to go through and put his body through to make 10.7. Here he can be that little bit stronger. He can be that little bit more durable. He still has the speed. He'll have increased power. Yes, it's Gennady Golovkin. This is the tough thing. It's not, and no disrespect to these guys, you know, it's not Daniel Jacobs. It's not Billy Joe Saunders. I put Brook at a favourite to beat all those guys. It's Gennady Golovkin. But it's also the chance to record a win that will go down in history. And that's what's on the line on Saturday.
When Kell Brook's name popped up in place of Chris Eubank Jr., people were surprised. They were like, oh, this is just a grab. They slagged the fight off. It's too big a weight differential. But I wondered if you've just pulled off maybe the biggest promoter's trick in this new century. Yeah. Did you know at the moment that the Kell Brook fight, the Eubank fight fell out, that you had in your back pocket a guy who might be a legitimate middleweight and nobody knew it?
Well,
They accepted him right away, no problems.
Good question, but only because when Khan boxed Canelo, you know, that was a shock to us, because we were in the running for the Khan fight, and Brook said to me, oh, Canelo, he went, go and get me Golovkin. And I sort of laughed, and he went, I'm serious. And I went, wow. And, you know, I spoke a little bit to Tom at the time, and it was sort of forgotten about. Then we started looking at Vargas. And then after a while, you know, when the Eubank fight fell through, I was sort of sitting at home thinking, how can this guy turn down all these millions to fight in a fight that they told us they want? And then I phoned up Kell Brook and I said, you know, the Eubank fight's fallen through with Golovkin. I said, you know, it's a shame you won't fight him. I said, because it's such a big fight. He went, I've told you before I'll fight Golovkin. I went, well, if you're serious, let me call Tom Loeffler now. Phoned him, yeah, you know. And then 24 hours it was signed.
So it just occurred to you in the moment?
No, we'd had that chat before about Golovkin, but it was never in play. At any moment, you know, probably in the last 3 months, that fight was never in play. 2 months, perhaps. So, you know, it was just a case of chance. A guy who has been crying out for the mega fights. That's Kell Brook. No one wants to fight him at 147 pounds. So here we had a chance where he's got to do something outrageous to become that star.
Everyone has seen Kell Brook in the ring. He's a world champion. We know he can box. Now we find out that he's been killing himself to get to 47. He might actually be a proper middleweight. Is it possible that this is a tougher fight for Triple G, maybe even than Chris Eubank Jr. would have been, considering how much experience Brook has and his boxing ability?
Yes, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. is an excellent talent, but he's a British champion. Kell Brook is a world champion. He's 36-0. He's, in my opinion, pound for pound, one of the top fighters in the world. You know, the only issue in this fight is the weight, but I keep saying to people, don't worry about the weight in this fight. It's definitely a disadvantage for us, but a small disadvantage. And if Brook gets beaten in this fight, it won't be, it was too much weight. It would just be, he wasn't good enough. And, that can happen against a pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. But I will say, Brook is up for it. He looks strong, he's confident, and he's ready to take this moment. So if you're, tuning in at home or you're in the arena, you're going to see a real fight. You're going to see the best fighter in the world against another best fighter in the world. 71-0 between them, 2 world champions, the best fighting the best. That's what you want. It gives me the hump when I see people's responses on Twitter. At one stage you got, the fans saying, oh, you're taking easy defences, all these mandatories. Then you go and fight Triple G and they're like, mismatch, it's crazy, what are you doing? It's like you can't win, So I'm just pleased he's getting his chance to shine, and it's all down to him. It's a tough ask, but we all believe he can do it.
If he does do it, he's going to walk away with middleweight titles, multiple, strapped all around his waist and on his shoulders. Does he then become the middleweight champion and defend those titles? Like, is he a middleweight fighter at that point?
Possibly. I mean, you've got to think, if you beat Gennady Golovkin at middleweight, you are probably a middleweight.
Yeah. So you plan to promote him as a middleweight going forward?
People say, would you, we've got the Errol Spence mandatory at some point. Does he ever go back to 147 pounds? It's going to be very difficult after making 160 to go back to 147. Does he operate at 154? Does he stay at middleweight? None of this matters other than Saturday night and trying to get that win and being involved in a very, very dangerous fight. This isn't a game, as Gennady says. This isn't game. This is boxing.
Big drama show.
Exactly. But it is, and listen, when you're in the O2 and the ref says seconds out, round 1, and that first bell goes, mate, my bum will be going like this.
Thanks for the seconds out plug, by the way.
No.
There's another scenario that could play out where you end up with the middleweight champion and Chris Eubank still wanting that title, and these two facing each other.
Big fight,
First, what is your relationship now after all of this has fallen apart and all that's been said in the press with the Eubanks? And is this a fighter that you're going to be able to go forward with and make deals in the future?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, look, it was disappointing. They asked me to do a job, I delivered it, and they didn't want the fight. They can say, it wasn't the terms that we, it was the same terms that Kell Brook's fighting on. It was the same terms that Anthony Joshua's fighting on, that Carl Froch is fighting on, and it would have made them multi-millions of pounds. So, I haven't got time to waste my time and energy on situations like that. My dad's spoken to him since, and there is a chance we could work together.
Have
again.
you spoken to him since?
No,
You guys?
No, I haven't got time. It's not that I won't talk to them again. It's I haven't got time. I'm working on this fight. I've delivered for you there. They've gone from earning whatever they would have earned and fighting for the unified middleweight title to boxing on the undercard in Cardiff for the British title. So it's madness. But again, we've talked about that, and who knows what the future holds. But right now, it's all about Saturday night.
I'll be back in November. You want to go ahead and let us know who Anthony Joshua is facing?
Not yet. I don't know yet. Actually, I don't know yet.
It's getting a little late in the game.
Right. We got the announcements coming on the week, not next week, but the week after. So we've got plenty of time. We're getting close now. We're trying to build a big show.
Is the delay just for effect, or are there still several people that are possible opponents?
It's never for effect. It's because it hasn't been done yet. I've got too big a mouth. As soon as it gets done, the whole world will know.
We know probably the November fight will be, again, a good fight, but not a huge fight, right? Like, you're looking for a big opponent at the beginning of next year. Yeah. If I'm correct in that, ideally, who's that big opponent going to be? Who would you like for Anthony to come out in 17?
If we don't fight Parker in November, then we'll fight him in March. So, the plan for Anthony Joshua is November the 26th, March the 4th, and then June, July, outdoors at Wembley. That summer fight is the big one. That's the unification fight, etc. The Parker fight can be a really big fight. Looking at potentially matching him against David Price on November 26th, that could grow the Joshua Price fight into a really big fight. So plenty of time. We're stepping up. We're having a dangerous fight on the 26th. and then we keep on going. And you know, these big fights are coming for the British public to see.
What about the progress of Deontay Wilder with his injuries?
Yep.
You think he could be ready for that summer fight and that be the unification bout?
Maybe. I think if Fury beats Klitschko, that's the one we really want. You know, and that's, you know, to have a unification fight for the heavyweight world titles between two Brits. You know, we can't let this opportunity pass. So, and I think everyone will be sensible in there. And you got the Hay fight as well. You know, you got the Deontay Wilder fight. They're the kind of fights that we look at for next summer.
Are you at all concerned that the Fury fight, Klitschko fight, happens? Like, there's so many
well, listen, who knows?
hurdles.
Who knows? I don't think you can really be guaranteed that fight's happening until they both walk into the ring. But I hope it does, because, you know, it's a total waste of Tyson Fury's time. You know, he won the world heavyweight title nearly a year ago.
Right.
And, you know, he needs to, his profile's dipped. He's a great fighter, he's a great personality, he should be on the end of everyone's tongue. But he's not. But hopefully that fight happens, and then, you know, hopefully we get the winner.
Are you concerned about testing at all? If Anthony Joshua faces Fury, are you going to have rigorous drug testing for that fight? Were you concerned about the Fury situation and him coming in, you know, on the level?
No. I think that, you know, the only problem with that UCAD situation is there's no clarity. You know, people want to know, and it's not. I believe that UCAD and the British Boxing Board of Control is probably the best testing random system in boxing in the world. But we just want to know what's happened, because the problem we're having is, and the same as this fight, you know, Tom Loeffler would say to me, we're not using UCAD. Look at the mess with the Furies. So now we've got to bring in VADA testing. So we need the credibility with UCAD in boxing, and we need some clarity. But there's a legal case going on and all sorts. So I don't know. Look, you know, I know that Tyson Fury, although he's a bit crazy, and Peter Fury is, you know, they're credible people. So I don't, you know, I'd be surprised if there's anything untoward. But, you know, I think you just need some clarity from UCAD and the British Boxing Board of Control.
And lastly, Saturday night, Kell Brook raises all those titles over his head. Is there a mandatory rematch? Just Triple G get an automatic another shot at taking his belts back?
If we want to stay at middleweight, then we'll go again with Triple G. But we have the opportunity to do whatever we want.
It's not in the contract that way.
No, it is in the contract. You know, if we defend the middleweight belts, it will be against Triple G. If we move back down to light middle or welterweight, then it doesn't have to be. So again, you know, it's all down at Saturday. He's fighting to become the #1 fighter in the world.
Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn breaking down all the big news in boxing. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it. Always generous.